So here's number one about God's faithfulness. When the circumstances of my life blind me to God's presence, when the circumstances of my life blind me to God's presence, His faithfulness is closer than I feel. Right now, as we speak, some of you have a burden so heavy, you might not even have told someone in your life about it because you're too ashamed. I'll be honest, the book I just wrote, I've never told that stuff until this last winter when I wrote it. I was too ashamed. And now everyone in the world's gonna read it. Because something happens when you start telling your story. But for years, I carried some burdens. Some of you right now are carrying burdens, and there are people who've known you for 20 years who've never heard of your struggle. It doesn't have to be, I'm not even talking about sexual sin, although that might be it, because I think that is a huge problem in this culture today. But for some of you, you might have a relationship with your husband that's hurting, and you're too ashamed to tell anyone because you're like, they think we have a perfect marriage. When the circumstances of my life blind me to God's presence, we see this in the disciples on the road to Emmaus. They're walking down the street with Jesus at their side, and they're so blinded by what they thought should happen, they're so blinded by what they wanted to happen, that they can't even see Jesus in that moment. Just because you don't feel God's presence doesn't mean He's not there. And just because you don't see God's hand at work clearly doesn't mean He hasn't already worked it out.